24. Giuseppe Fontana, the chairman of the board of Villa d'Este. Ciao Giuseppe. Ciao Maximilian, driving the BMW 503 convertible. Skytop Concept. Adrian, good afternoon. Great to see you. Windscreens for both the front passengers and those in the rear. Only foreign
Like most luxury car companies, did not actually make the body. Of winning something. Also with a chance of decapitating onlookers if you drive past with the Gullwing doors up. This was the fastest car in the world 70 years ago. An Austrian called Max Hoffman on Fifth Avenue in New York, sorry, Park Avenue in New York, said to them, if you build that car, I guarantee I'll buy 1,000 of them and I'll sell them. Mercedes did, and Max Hoffman was good to his word. 2014, and almost covered by old computers waiting to be repaired, the nose of this car was sticking out. And it had belonged to the same man for over 50 years, and he just never got around to fixing it, nor the computers that were his day job. But that remarkable man, who raced incidentally at the first post-war American Grand Prix at Watkins Glen with an old Bugatti, he raced for no less than 70 years. This car came out of hibernation, it came to Germany, it was restored back to its original glory. Brian Ross, all the way from the States with the Ferrari 335S. Come on, Brian. Hans film. It was driven by the German aristocrat Count Wolfgang von Trips. He came second to the Silver Fox, as he was known, Piero Taruffi, in a sister car to this. These were the ultimate weapons in Ferrari's arsenal in the second overall in the last millimeter, Brian Ross, followed by the Ferrari 250 short wheelbase. The longer version of this gave way to this model that was shorter by just 20 centimeters, but those 20 centimeters made a huge difference to the handling of the car. This car went on to be developed into the famous 250 GTO the following year, or 2 years later, which again won everything. But it was truly a high point in sports, in GT car, Gran Turismo car design. To many people, the epitome of what a Ferrari GT should be. Beautiful, but aggressively elegant at the same time. I say half English because when Aston Martin could not beat its Italian rivals, what did it do? It turned to them, that's lovely, thank you Neil. It turned to them for some extra help. Aston Martin just could not beat Ferrari in GT racing. They made brilliant cars, they were powerful, they were reliable, but they were just too heavy. This was the direct rival in GT racing of the Ferrari that you have just seen drive by. Aston Martin met up at the London Motor Show in about 1959 with the Italian family who owned Zagato, that famous coach building company from Milan. We're talking about made to measure. Here is a very good example. The Ferrari 250 Speciale Aerodinamico by Pininfarina, owned by Bill Heineke from Thailand. These you could still commission one-off cars to your personal taste. Bill, just a little bit further, that's lovely. Thank you very much. Perfect. Stop just there. Thank you very much. For cars with special bodywork, if you could see your way to accommodate him, he would be most grateful. And by the way, he's Mrs. Lancia's son-in-law and owns one of the most important Lancia dealerships in Turin. What it says about Lancia that their biggest dealer is buying a Ferrari, I'll leave you to decide. But this was the result, and a truly spectacular car. Originally grey, incidentally, but Mr. Gatta didn't like the colour and so changed it soon afterwards.
Haben die Shooting noch? Naja, der ist noch vorne gefahren. Das ist cool.
Very much dressed for the occasion, he said just before he was run over. And she was the wife of the younger brother of the King of Morocco. And I did do some research because I believe she was born in the Lebanon. She was born in the Lebanon, and the car was ordered in these colors because green and white are the national colors of Morocco. Ferrari 275 GTS.
Ich habe ein schönes Video von euch gemacht.
Please welcome Stefan Hoffmann of the Golden Age collection with the Aston Martin DB5 shooting brake. Now you see, this is where we needed the Bond music. Also designed the 1985 Ferrari GT Speciale. He did the Ferrari Modulo. He did the Fiat 130 Coupe. Another lady team today, Christine Shams from the UK. Look at that. Can you believe this design? Perfect, Christine, perfect. This design is 53 years old. Now, on the 13th of March this year, we lost one of the fathers of, perhaps the father of supercar design. Her favorite color, yes, you guessed it, was purple. And not to be outdone, of course, he also had one in red with a white stripe. I don't think that any car has ever been put into series production that had a greater impact and made schoolboys and girls dream more than the Lamborghini Countach. There has never been anything like it. Lamborghini Countach and Valentino Malboni. Go, Christine! Loris and Estonia RUF, good afternoon. Come and join us on the mosaic. Let's give it, come on guys, let's give it a push. No, you no. Okay, perfect. This was Porsche's weapon in the mid-1980s arms race with Ferrari and Lamborghini. And what a technological tour de force this car was. Tom, lovely to see you. Another example of the younger generation coming out and flying the flag. I think it's the only 959 in this particular shape. And Todd, as his name might imply, is a collector of blue cars. Should be said that unlike the 288 GTO that was its great rival, the Porsche 959 did race, improve the car in their own way, on the basis that any supercar in the 1980s had to have slats, side slats, lots of slats. They'd obviously learned a thing or two. Mario, that's great, thank you. They'd obviously taken one or two cues from Ferrari with the Testarossa and the slats on the slide. Chrysler with Lamborghini decided they could take it at least one or two steps further. Kilometers. It now has 18,000 kilometers. So I'm going to join the other people here in applauding. Just drive it. Cars are meant, nice to see you too, Marcus. Cars are meant to be driven, and you are the man, because I know you've driven this car all over the place, Scotland, Wales, you've trickled down here, you drove this a three-seater in the Mclaren F1 road car, chassis number 43, built for the owner of the Ueno Clinic. A barely modified version went on to win the Le Mans 24 Hours outright. The car that won the Le Mans 24 Hours, chassis number 1, I think from memory, 1R, was owned by a Japanese clinic called Ueno Clinic. Now, the owner of Ueno Clinic had been to see various racing teams and had asked if they would like him to sponsor a car. And the word went round fairly quickly as to what Ueno Clinic actually did. And the answer is, and that's why nobody wanted to take their money, Ueno Clinic's speciality, probably the first time this has been said on the terrace at Villa d'Este, was penis enlargement. when this came out, nobody wanted to have Ueno Clinic's name on the side of their racing car. So they kept on going around to see all the different manufacturers, and eventually the boss of McLaren, Ron Dennis, said, "Don't we still have an old prototype at the back of the workshop?" And his staff said to him, "Yes." So he said, "Okay, I tell you what, make it look a bit fresh and take their money. They can have the damn thing." When they were signing the contract, at the very last minute, Ron Dennis said, "Oh, by the way, there's one small point. In the extremely unlikely event that the car wins the race, we get to keep it. You can guess the rest." The prototypes dropped out, the race was wet, and so the McLaren F1 just powered on. Actually, it sounds like something for their advert, doesn't it? It just powered on
all night and all day, and finally success. A climactic end at 4 o'clock the next afternoon. And a McLaren F1 with Wayno Clinic on its side, but it must have been marketing gold, with Wayno Clinic on its side, won the Le Mans 24 hours. And to celebrate that, the owner ordered a road car in the same colours. And that is the actual road car ordered by the owner of Wayno Clinic. People consider it to be this. It is, of course, the McLaren F1. Please welcome Tony Vassilopoulos. In fact, probably the entire Vassilopoulos family, given that it's a 3-seater, in the McLaren F1 road car, chassis number 43, built for the owner of the Wayno Clinic. This truly, in fact, Tony is discreetly lurking behind the car until I called out his name. Tony, nice to see you. Look at that, the entire family. Chris, you're a star. Guys, how great to see you, and the entire friends and family. You can only do that in a McLaren F1, at least you can only do that in a McLaren F1 without getting toasted. Chris, Juliet, great to see the McLaren F1 being used as intended. When it came out, this was a car of superlatives. I don't know if do you want to open up the second door as well? Do you want to open the second door? That way they can get the perfect photograph. The McLaren F1 was by far the fastest, by far the most expensive, and by far the most detail-obsessed new supercar ever put into production when it was launched at the Sporting Club in Monaco, I think from memory, in 1992. The first cars made it into production the following year. 240 plus miles per hour, approximately 600,000 pounds, and yet just 3 years later a barely modified version went on to win the Le Mans 24 hours outright. The car that won the Le Mans 24 hours, chassis number 1 I think from memory, 1R, was owned by a Japanese clinic called Ueno Clinic. Now, the owner of Ueno Clinic had been to see various racing teams and had asked if they would like him to sponsor a car. And the word went round fairly quickly as to what Ueno Clinic actually did. And the answer is, and that's why nobody wanted to take their money, Ueno Clinic's speciality, probably the first time this has been said on the terrace at Villa d'Este, was penis enlargement. when this came out, nobody wanted to have Ueno Clinic's name on the side of their racing car. So they kept on going around to see all the different manufacturers, and eventually the boss of McLaren, Ron Dennis, said, "Don't we still have an old prototype at the back of the workshop?" And his staff said to him, "Yes." So he said, "Okay, I tell you what, make it look a bit fresh and take their money. They can have the damn thing." When they were signing the contract, at the very last minute, Ron Dennis said, "Oh, by the way, there's one small point. In the extremely unlikely event that the car wins the race, we get to keep it. You can guess the rest." The prototypes dropped out, the race was wet, and so the McLaren F1 just powered on. Actually, it sounds like something for their advert, doesn't it? It just powered on all night and all day, and finally success.
a climactic end at 4 o'clock the next afternoon. And a Mclaren F1 with Wayno Clinic on its side, but it must have been marketing gold. With Wayno Clinic on its side, won the Le Mans 24 hours. And to celebrate that, the owner ordered a road car in the same colours. And that is the actual road car ordered by the owner of Wayno Clinic. Judging from Chris's growing family, he does not need their products. Congratulations, Chris, I'm glad you didn't hear that. But what a machine, and I have to say this car, with a BMW engine by the way, only used in this car, just, it never gets old. It looks better and better with time. And I have to say, having had the privilege, the good fortune to drive one down here for many, many years, I'm quite jealous seeing you sitting there today. So congratulations to the entire Vasilopoulos family. Thanks for bringing the car and sharing it with everybody here today. Absolutely a great car with a great story. 5-seater today, exactly. Or 4-seater anyway. Ah! Julia's pregnant, it is a 5-seater today. Congratulations. Go UNO Clinic. Guys. The Lamborghini Diablo GT, all the way from Mexico, driven by Jose Julian, is the final car in the parade of historic cars before we call the Commodore to the unveiled. The car is clearly a great audience favourite. Spectacular, I have to say. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Jose. The 2024 Coppa d'Oro, and this is going to really surprise you. This is a momentous moment. The winner of the 2024 Coppa d'Oro Villaderse is the Mclaren F1 of the Vasilopoulos family. I cannot believe it. This is a truly momentous day. Who would have ever imagined? Who would have ever imagined that a supercar, a hypercar from the 1990s would bit further. Okay, that's perfect. But thank you all for your enthusiasm, for your support. Thank you to Villaderse. Thank you to BMW. Thank you to everybody who works behind the scenes. And last but not least, a very happy birthday to my wife.